we're going to answer the question, should I take a gap year? Now, Brad, we have that question come up all the time from our students. And yeah, it's a big one.
I just got it this morning, Ed, and I think more and more students right now, more so than ever before, as they're graduating high school, looking at college, there's so much uncertainty because of the pandemic. I think it's a justified question to ask, and I can understand why they're thinking that way. And I'm glad we're actually having a good conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. My daughter actually is in the middle of a gap year right now due to COVID, and she had been accepted to her college. And I think a lot of kids have butted up against that question, like, okay, do I want to go to school if I'm not going to have that experience, and if I'm going to be like virtual or, in a reduced capacity? I mean, my daughter was going to art school, so you really can't do art school online. So it was kind of a no-brainer for her.
Yeah.
But what would you say to someone like in a business major who could do it online? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, I think there are benefits of doing some education. If you're exploring the idea of a gap year, there's absolute benefits to taking online courses. Now, whether it translates to full-time, if you're looking for the college experience, clearly you're not going to get that online. But here's a sizable dilemma I see. And obviously things are still shaking out. We don't know how things are going to develop over the next 6 to 8 months. But one of the challenges that these high school students graduating have been through is that they missed out on a ton of what I would refer to as life skills over the last year, as you know. And that is incredibly, it's not just about learning in high school. It's also about, going to your prom, and think about all the different skills
and all that stuff.
Exactly. And I do worry that if they decide to do just strictly online courses, you're going to find that a lot of those life skills will be lost even further because they didn't have that college experience, But that said, I don't believe this is where you've heard me reference this, Ed, in past conversations, the gap trap.
Right.
And that's where these students can easily fall in.
Yeah. And I know someone actually who took a gap year, I think in their sophomore year, and they never went back.
Mm-hmm.
So we always talk about not wasting time or money, right? So if you're going to take a gap year, you need to have a plan. And this is, that question, should I take a gap year? The way that you're going to answer that is going to come down to a few things. Do you have the discipline to actually stay on track and go back? So that's number one. Absolutely. So if you have something you're going to be thinking about, and you have a career that you want to study for and you have to study for, make sure that you're going to go back. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we talk about, and we came up with a little acronym called SEW. So SEW. So it really comes down to study, exploration, and work. So Brad, you talk to us about that.
Well, I think it's a fantastic acronym because it does bridge the gap between that last year of high school and going into college. You're kind of sewing them together, but it would also help prevent you from because I think most high school students are going, okay, I'm going to make that transition now. I'm going to work, and I need money for college, so I'm going to work more, work. And what they don't realize, and that's important, don't get me wrong, it's two dads. We know, we appreciate that.
Work as much as you can.
Yeah, exactly. But what we can't stress enough is that if all you're doing is working, you're losing, I guess, that idea of self-exploration and the other, the self-improvement piece too, You gotta continue to educate yourself and explore passions and figure out which direction you want to go in. You can only do that. You're not going to do that in a 9-to-5 job working as a waiter or a waitress. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You might pick up some life skills, but.
Well, what we always say is like a gap year is not a year off. Okay. Yes, so you get out of high school, or even if you're taking a year off of college, a lot of kids go, oh, okay, the pressure's off. and I don't have to be on that grind of study, 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 and homework and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You were just talking about is losing those skills, but also losing that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want to do, if you're asking that question, should I take a gap year? To answer that question, you need to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I going to continue to study? Like there's a million online classes that you can take.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
what might even turn into college credit. Now, I'll caution you, my daughter wanted to take some some college credit courses, so she'd be ahead of the game,
Mm-hmm.
but her particular college wouldn't accept them.
Uh-huh.
So you need to make sure, like, will my college accept this? Even if they won't, get yourself ahead of the game and keep that study habit up, even if it's just one course in something that interests you. And then you were just talking about exploration, and those interests and those careers and those other things that might have been in the back of your head that you didn't have time for.
Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely want to keep up with that exploration of other things than work and study. And then, of course, work, definitely make the money, because as we know, that those college tuitions are just astronomical right now. So if you can approach your gap year with a plan and with the right combination of study, exploration, and work, you'll be well suited.
I love it. And I think that's the best advice that we can give students as they explore it. One other thought, when they are working, there is an opportunity to pick up some of those life skills, because now, rather than studying full-time, you're going to have the opportunity to, manage your finances, you'll be making money, costs. That's a very important life skill. It's crazy to me that, students are going, or high school students going right into school, not knowing how to manage their finances. That's just, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Is crazy.
It's insane.
So,
and we could go off on, this could be like a 3-hour video, I think.
yes,
Stuck on that rabbit hole that we always talk about is you're 16, 17, 18 years old, and you're making a decision for like $150,000, but nobody ever taught you how to manage your money. So
I
don't
know.
quite get that.
Yeah. So again,
listen to Brad. Listen to Brad. Get the money skills.
Well, it's so important. It really is. And going to work and actually collecting a check, that makes it real. That it gives them, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is my money. So manage it, learn how to manage it.
Right. So maybe you take that course. You know what? Actually, let's go down that hole for just a second. Maybe those are the courses you take. If you can't find a class that your college is going to accept, right? Look yourself again. I like saying, look yourself in the mirror. Look yourself in the mirror and say, what am I lacking to be an adult right now? Okay. If you don't know how finances work and how car loans work and how mortgages work and all that adult stuff that you have to deal with, take a class in that. Learn that. You learn how to invest, do all that stuff, set yourself up for the future. So a gap year can be super exciting.
It can.
Or it could be, like you said, the gap trap. It could be the most devastating thing that you do in a while. Right?
You know how I avoided it? I ended up joining the Army, and I went commercial fishing, and I said, get me out of here. I got to go back to college. What am I doing at 90 miles out on the water?
So on one end, listen to Brad, okay? On the other end, don't do what Brad did. Don't find yourself, if you're going to take a gap year, unless you really want to be freezing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean smelling like cod, don't do what Brad did.
Exactly. Yeah. But I do think it's worth exploring right now, and where students lost out on so much of that experience in high school, to miss out, have the unfortunate realization that they may also miss out on whether it's the fall semester and the next semester, and not experience that because I mean, I really enjoyed my college experience, and I'm sure you did as well. What I did out of work, which it came out of my actual college experience.
Right.
So I can't put enough value on what that is and what you can learn from it. So
I think the last thing we could kind of go over is a little bit of mindset too.
mm,
Okay,
mhm,
because it's if you decide to take a gap year, and the thing that we hear from our students, and we've heard it a million times when we talk about taking a gap year, is they feel like they're failing and they're falling behind and they're not going to catch up. If
mhm,
you're 19, 18, 20 years old, you have an entire life ahead of you. And
mhm,
it's not like you stayed back in 8th grade. Okay. You're making a conscious decision about how you're going to be more successful in going forward. And
mhm,
if you can look into the future just a little bit and say, okay, the situation that I find myself in right now really lends itself for me to pull back a little bit, develop some skills, earn some money, and keep myself on track for my life, not just for school, then do that.
absolutely.
But don't get yourself into that mindset where taking a gap year is a failure, because it's anything but if you do it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said, Ed. And I'd
Thank
add too, clearly if you have the opportunity to explore careers, talk to your relatives and family members about what
Right.
they do, that's another piece of self-improvement, part of that I would highly recommend. But that can be a challenge. So of course that's why Major Choice, got to put a plug in for Major Choice.
There it is.
That's why we're in business, right,
That's
Ed?
what we do.
That's what we do. Yeah. So
That is really the thing. Like, you should be busier during your gap year than you would be in school.
absolutely.
If you find yourself on your couch playing video games, you're not doing your gap year right.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Great.
Look at the
Yeah.
clock and it's 11 a.m. and you haven't done anything. You are not doing your gap year right.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great. Well, I'm glad we get to finally talk about this subject, Ed. I think this
No
will be
kidding.
very
Seriously.
helpful with a lot of students,
A long time coming.
Absolutely. All right.
Well,
Thanks
everyone
again,
out there,
Ed.
I hope this helped. We talked about a lot of things. If you have any questions about your gap year or your future or anything else along that line, just there's a link down the bottom. Just
Check
click
us out
it.
at majorchoice.com.
Majorchoice.com.
All right.
Take care,
Okay,
everyone.
Ed. Take care.